Hi everybody, it's Peter Schiff. It's Tuesday, September 22nd, 2009. Well, another day and another new low for the dollar. The dollar index closed just at 76, even 76.06, I think. This is the lowest close for the dollar index of the year. The euro traded above 148, I believe. That's a new 52-week high for the euro. Take a look at the New Zealand dollar as an example. Traded above 72 cents today. Not only is that a new high, the New Zealand dollar is up 44% against the U.S. dollar in the last 6 months. Of course, no one on Wall Street seems to care about this. I think one of the reasons maybe for dollar weakness today is people are anticipating that maybe there'll be some kind of negative dollar statement or something perceived to be negative dollar statement coming out of the G20 meeting that's taking place later this week in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's very funny. There's so much hypocrisy going on in this meeting. I talked a little bit about it. You'll be able to watch me. I taped earlier this morning at CNN, Your Money, which will be aired on Saturday and Sunday. I forget the times. I think it's 1 o'clock on Saturday. I forget on Sunday on CNN. So you can tune in and watch that. But there's a lot of hypocrisy around this G20 meeting. Apparently, President Obama actually issued some kind of communique to the G20, basically expressing his desire to really help tackle the global economic imbalances. And he's promising that he wants to pursue policies to encourage Americans to save more. And he's hoping China will put some policies in place to get the Chinese to spend more. After all, the global economic imbalances have to do with the fact that Americans are borrowing all this money from the Chinese, we're spending and they're saving, and we've got these huge imbalances. Now, this whole thing is ironic. You've got President Obama saying he wants to pursue policies to promote savings. I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to, maybe make it easier for Americans to put a few more bucks in their IRAs. He's running a $1.8 trillion budget deficit. No matter how much we save, we can't offset that. You see, if individuals save more, but the government borrows more, then it cancels it out. Because remember, when the government borrows, we borrow. Individuals are responsible for paying that money back. So if the average American can save an extra $1,000, or the average family can put aside an extra $1,000 this year, but Barack Obama and Congress commit that family to an extra $20,000 worth of liabilities, because that's their approximate share of this national debt this year, then they haven't saved anything. Right? It's all been undone by President Obama. If Obama really wants Americans to save more, he's got to stop deficit spending. The government has to start first. It starts at the top. The government has to balance the budget. Because if it keeps running deficits, it cancels out any extra savings. And of course, if you look at President Obama's plans, his economic plans, what's the goal? It's the opposite of getting us to save. What is, 8% tax credit to buy a house? What is cash for clunkers all about? What is trying to restore credit to consumers by having the government buy credit card debt? The whole aim is to get us to spend more, to buy more stuff. What are 0% interest rates doing? They're punishing people for saving. How are we going to encourage people to save if all they can get for saving is a negative real interest rate? I mean, all the policies are spend, spend, spend. How can he go with a straight face to the G20 and say, we want to save more? Who is he kidding? And of course, when he says that he wants the Chinese to spend more, no, he doesn't. He doesn't want the Chinese spending their money. He wants them loaning it to us. After all, we're running a $1.8 trillion deficit. We expect the Chinese to finance it. Well, how are the Chinese going to spend money and loan it to us simultaneously? It's one or the other. If they spend it, they can't lend it to us. And the reality is the reason that the Chinese are able to lend us so much money is because they're not spending. So we can't have it both ways. What I'd really like to see come out of this G20 meeting is I'd like to see the creditor nations like China tell President Obama, we're not buying any more of your treasury debt. We're not going to lend you money anymore. That's what we need. If we really want to bring an end to the global economic imbalances, the countries supplying the credit have to shut it off. I've got nothing against the Chinese or the Japanese or anybody else coming to this country and investing money starting a business loaning money to an American entrepreneur so he can produce products, create jobs. I'm all for that. What I'm not in favor of is foreign governments taking money from their own citizens and loaning that money to our government, where now we're obligated to pay it back with interest. And of course, our government isn't using that money productively, it's using it destructively. Every dollar the government borrows is screwing up the economy. They're using that money to expand government at the expense of the private sector. And then they're using it to encourage more reckless consumption and more reckless borrowing. That's the exact opposite of what we need. It'd be very interesting if anything actually comes out of this G20 meeting that's substantive. Generally, when they have these meetings, they're just photo opportunities for the politicians. But we'll see. I'll try to blog again once we have the results of the G20. In the meantime, that's it for today, everybody. I'll be back again soon. Still working hard on the campaign. If you haven't contributed yet or signed up to volunteer, we're working on a way to really utilize the volunteers. So make sure if you do want to volunteer, even if you can't contribute money, go to SchiffForSenate.com and sign up to be a volunteer. And of course, we can always use more donations. Anyway, that's it for today. So long, everybody.